Kia ora and welcome to this episode of The Amateur Austenite. I'm Frances Duncan, author, Austenite life coach. New intro, thank you. My co-host is Rachel Pilwer.
Hello.
Would you like to also come up with a snappy 3-word descriptor?
Austenite, Austen collector, and all-around nerd.
Excellent. Today we're discussing chapter 14 of Emma by Jane Austen. So in this chapter, they turn up, they have dinner, and then it's the start of the evening part of the evening. Mr. Elton's being all cozy with Emma, and she's like, what the fuck, dude?
Blech.
Yeah. We find out that Frank Churchill's going to come and visit, and Emma's like, my prince is coming.
The long-awaited Messiah has come home. They've prophesied his arrival for years.
The chapter starts off right where the last one finished, which is so funny because Mr. Elton must compose his joyous looks and Mr. John Knightley, disperse his ill humour because they're both like, yay, I don't want to fucking be here, and then have to try and...
they need to balance themselves out and meet in the middle of... We're at a dinner party and have to be amiable for all.
But Emma can just be herself because she's genuinely happy. She gets to see the Westons. There's this beautiful half an hour's uninterrupted communication of the little matters on which the daily happiness of private life depends is so important to her and Mrs. Weston. It's one of the first gratifications of them both. And I'm like, oh, that's so cute. She must miss her so much.
They both talk to and about each other so much in the previous chapters, but I feel like at this moment when they're so surrounded by everybody else, you can really also like feel the connection between the two of them, especially compared to Mrs. Weston's connection with Isabella, because
she won't talk to Isabella about some stuff.
There's a line later on, despite Mrs. Weston having basically on paper the same relationship with Isabella as she would have with Emma, it is so different, their bond. It's just kind of really heartwarming and wholesome, but then still also harks back to being like, well, now Mrs. Weston's not living there, Emma must be lonely now. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But it's like best friends reunited. When I'm at dinner with my friends and there's just a whole bunch of people talking, I know me and my best friend will just be like giving each other glances about what's being discussed at the table, being like,
we're going to talk about this later.
We're going to talk about this later. Yeah.
Mr. Woodhouse wholly engrosses Mrs. Weston. We got here safely, and here's how we got here, and Isabella's here, and she's had a good time, and Emma's coming, and James is happy to be here because, of course, his daughter's here because I got her that job here. And, oh my God, I gotta thank Mrs. Weston living with these two. She really was a parent.
She was the parent of 2. Oh, 3 if you're counting Isabella as well. He's so ADHD child, must tell everybody all the things. That was me as a kid when someone's like, even now, and someone's like, how was your day? And I'm like, oh, so I woke up at this time and I went and did this thing and this is what I ate for lunch and it was really nice, but then this thing happened. I did really well on that math test, but also there was this one question and I'm like, yeah, I feel the resonance. I do love this line in the full paragraph. Emma's project of forgetting Mr. Elton for a while made her rather sorry to find, when they had all taken their places, that he was close to her.
Yes, I would too be upset if Mr. Elton was close to me.
I love him for 2 reasons. The absolute, disgust at him having to be near her. She's just like, I'm here with all these people I like. I was going to have a really pleasant evening, and then they sat me next to this guy. I 100% understand. I feel like it's such a thing of Emma's personality for it to be Emma's project of forgetting Mr. Elton. It's not even just Emma trying to, ignore him for a bit. It's a full-on project that she has to do to try and forget that he's there.
Oh my God, I might be Emma. Everything in my life is a project. If I don't have a project with friends, I don't see them.
That's so fair.
We have a project, so we see each other.
So we see each other, yeah.
Even the rest of the paragraph, she could not be rude.
Do it, Emma, just do it.
The annoyances of a society where you have to be nice to people all the time. This guy thinks he's got an in with her and she cannot tell him to fuck off.
Yeah, I honestly could not. I feel like I am often trying to be pretty polite to people. Even if I'm not, I'm like, okay. The diplomatic method of being like, oh yeah, we'll just, that's fine, it's fine. Just back out. But If I couldn't at all, like if someone went too far, to be able to say, can you just leave me the fuck alone? It would drive me insane. Honestly, Emma is one of those characters who I feel like if she wasn't in such a high position of society, she would 100% be telling people all the time to leave her the fuck alone.
Yeah, she is actually considerably well-behaved, considering everything.
I feel like her wealth, because she obviously is in a higher position, she doesn't, like, abuse it quite as much. Of like, she tries and does good in what her mind is good, that she will not be rude. But I feel like other people who would be in wealthy positions would abuse that power to tell people to fuck off. And Emma's just too good. Mrs. Weston raised her too well.
So the point behind this is that Emma's like, what the fuck, dude? Harriet's not here. Why are you being friendly to me? Don't tell me you're into me now.
Mm-hmm. She's like, how dare you be so happy that my best friend is too unwell to be here.
She's trying to listen to Mr. Weston, and the way that she refers to Mr. Elton's talking and taking up her attention is the most overpowering period of his nonsense.
Mr. Elton says the word, hi. Shut up with your nonsense.
We hear a little about Frank Churchill, who we have known a little bit before. It's Mr. Weston's son. The way that it's written is like he's this fairy tale prince. There was something in the name, the idea of Mr. Frank Churchill, which always interested her. If she were to marry, he was the very person to suit her. Okay, Emma, tell me you're a heroine. The Westons also want her to marry him, and she's aware of it. I think it's lovely that they're like, you're like our daughter, and this is our son, and we want you guys to be together, and that would be real cute.
She is like a self-proclaimed matchmaker. The Westons are playing, like, she's playing chess. They're playing 4D chess. They're like, okay, we're gonna subtly tell her so many wonderful stories about this guy over the years and slowly make her think really good thoughts about him so that when they finally meet, she's in love with him before he's even arrived.
Well, she is in love with the idea of him.
She's in love with the idea of him.
But I wonder if part of it is because he's unattainable, therefore she doesn't have to deal with the reality, because she doesn't really want to leave her dad. And
she doesn't really want to get married.
No. And she has a really good point, like we talked about in the previous chapter, that there would not be as good a position for her than her current position. Almost nothing would be better than her current position, so why change it?
As the chapter goes on, it talks about Mrs. Churchill, who took in Frank when he was a child, how almost insufferable she is.
I used to think she was not capable of being fond of anybody except herself.
The one thing is, but she has always been kind to him. So she's always been good to Frank, but is in general not a very nice person. And I feel like Emma, while loving the thought of Frank as a person, she would never allow herself to be put in the position where this woman could have any influence on her or her life. Like, she would not marry Frank purely because Mrs. Churchill would be in charge of anything.
Emma needs to be in charge.
Emma needs to be in charge. She could not deal with a mother-in-law like that.
She needs.
Can you imagine Emma just being like, we were just talking about how she has to show this politeness and decorum. And that would be Emma's breaking point, I think. She'd be doing her best to be polite. As soon as Mrs. Churchill would try and tell Emma to do anything, she'd be like, no.
If Frank didn't kill his aunt, Emma would.
Emma would, yeah.
Emma had the comfort of appearing very polite while feeling very cross. I am being a good girl, a good girl.
Seething, yeah.
Seething.
I'm not going to angrily write about you in my diary or bitch about you to my best friend at all. I would never.
Mr. Weston says that if they had Frank and Harriet, their party would be complete. And when you think about how small this is and how intimate a gathering, I mean, there is still like 9 people, but, you know. Yeah. I kind of get why Mr. Elton thinks that Emma's into him.
He's in with the elite circle at the moment.
Yeah.
This is the family.
Their own set. She needed to be really clear in this scene. Instead of being polite, she's being too polite because he can't get her hints that she's not interested.
He has been getting mixed signals this entire time from her. And her politeness in this moment really does not help that at all. With who's in the current party, if everyone was, say, pairing off, obviously Mr. Woodhouse isn't pairing off with anybody, well, Mr. Elton would be like, well, of course I'm pairing with Emma. We're the 2 singles in this meeting. Like, obviously this has all been designed to be together, because he doesn't even view Harriet as an object of a potential, I could be with her. No, he's like, Harriet's not there. Like, even if she was, well, she would be the one pairing off with Mr. Woodhouse.
She's just set dressing.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's a lovely chair. Oh, someone's sitting in it? Oh, I didn't even notice.
It's Harriet. She's sitting at the table waiting for her meal.
Such a good girl. She's just so happy to be there.
Emma, where's your laptop?
She's in my handbag over there. She's taking a nap. She's not feeling so well. Left her at home.
The craziest thing, though, is that the Westons are matchmaking Emma with Frank Churchill. Mrs. Weston still hasn't even met him. She's anxious to be acquainted with him. I guess it's a difference in terms that they would use. Now we'd say she really wants to meet him.
She's eager.
But the anxious to be acquainted sounds very like, hello, now I know your name. As opposed to, hi, I'm your stepmother?
Yeah. We know why Frank hasn't come and met her. They've been married a few months now in terms of...
Yeah, I think
because
so.
they got married at the very beginning of the book, and I'm trying to think of how long ago this was.
October.
Yeah. So they've been married for a few months.
October.
But assumably they were courting before that. Obviously, Frank and his father don't see each other very frequently. You'd still be like, bro, you couldn't make it to the wedding. At least come as soon as possible to see them in person and give your congratulations. He's just not been doing that. I would be very apprehensive to meet my stepson as well. Hi, I'm part of your life, and you are now part of my life, and I've heard so many things about you from your father, who is totally not biased at all about you. Welcome home, son.
I mean, what if he was a jerk? In some ways he is.
He is.
But
So she doesn't know what he's like at all. Like, Mrs. Weston, the only reference she has for him is what Mr. Weston says. He's incredibly biased about his son. He loves him, which is fair. Mr. Weston's a good father and loves Frank so much. I also don't think that Mr. Weston knows Frank very well at all either, because...
No, they see each other once a year in London.
How long are these meetings as well? Like, one dinner, a weekend...
Although we can assume that they're constantly exchanging letters. That's a big thing during that period.
That's true.
But he's really good at blaming everything on Mrs. Churchill.
He doesn't make Frank take accountability for not visiting either.
No. In fact, he even tells the story, which is kind of hilarious, about a family that gets invited to visit the Churchills, but then is always put off because it's necessary to invite them once in 2 or 3 years.
I wish I could do that.
They don't like them, so they don't actually want them to come.
They postpone.
And just the hilarity of, because it's pointed that it's Mrs. Churchill's doing, of inviting people because she should do so, but they're never actually going through with the visit.
Honestly, that's a kind of iconic move. I mean, Mrs. Churchill is this side character who is very easy to be blamed for everything that goes wrong. Like, the first act that we know that she does in the entire book is take in Frank as a child when his father couldn't look after him. She didn't force him to give Frank up. He couldn't look after Frank and she could offer him a better life, so she took him in, which is inherently a really good thing to do. But then she's given such all of this, like, these little scathing remarks throughout this chapter of, like, what she's really like. We talked about this in the last chapter of being the villain in somebody's story. Like, whose story are you the villain in? And in Mr. Weston's story, Mrs. Churchill is this villain, this character who keeps him separated from his son.
So much so that Mr. Weston has never even been to Enscombe. He says, I've never been there. I know its ways, but I've never been. He was married to her sister-in-law too, a Miss Churchill. He never went to the estate. And his son lives there and was raised there, and he never went there.
Maybe he was invited and then always put off. Mrs. Churchill is always blamed for everything of why Frank can't visit.
Yeah.
But he's not being made to take on any of that responsibility, because we do find out, I don't know if it does say it in this chapter, but we do find out, like, that he had travelled and stayed with friends, which is where he met
When he went to Weymouth,
when he went to Weymouth. Well, you went there and you could have gone to see your father instead, but you didn't. You went to Weymouth to go and, like, hang out with your friends instead. His priorities, not necessarily wrong, but he has obviously decided that that is more important to him than going and seeing his father and his new wife. Very possibly, maybe Mrs. Churchill wouldn't have allowed him to go and visit the Westons, but would have allowed him to go to Weymouth for some reason. I can't imagine why. The slim chance of that is the only reason I could think to, like, blame Mrs. Weston. But otherwise, that's on Frank to not visiting.
And Emma even says he should have it in his power to do this. He should be able to go and visit his father even for a couple of days. And
he's a grown adult man.
Exactly. And
in this time period.
In another chapter, she has that argument with Mr. Knightley, and she takes the opposite to what she actually believes just so she can argue with Mr. Knightley.
I've got to do our flirt routine, and I'll take any side of the debate. Doesn't matter what I believe, as long as we're arguing, it's fun.
But really funny is Isabella talking about Mrs. Churchill and saying, constantly living with an ill-tempered person must be dreadful. It is what we happily have never known anything of. It must be a life of misery. This is Jane Austen going, honey, have you met your husband?
Ill-tempered husband, neurotic mother. What a blessing that Mrs. Churchill never had any children. And I'm like,
are you not just talking about Frank?
She never had any biological children. She does have a child who she raised. In the paragraph just before it, Mrs. Weston talking to Emma and Isabella and says, to you, to my 2 daughters, I may venture on the truth. Mrs. Churchill rules at Enscombe and is a very odd-tempered woman. But I just love that she considers them her children. She acknowledges them as her daughters, and that she's like, oh, I'm spilling the tea, but I'll only do it to you 2 because you're my children and I love you so much. And I just love it. And it's what I was saying before about that bond between them. It's just so sweet. It just makes me happy. I'm just like, oh, you're so cute.
I love that it shows the reality of relationships between people of different social strata, because yes, most children at a certain level were raised by a governess or a nanny or something like that. And those people who were technically working for their family, they still loved them and were so important to them. And it's wonderful and very confusing because Emma's a snob that she still wants Mrs. Weston to be part of her life. And still respects her and loves her and hasn't gone, well, I no longer lead you as a governess, so I can just get rid of you. You are beneath me. She's like, no, this is one of the most important people in my life. Yeah,
this is my best friend and mother, and I just really love their relationship so much. And it's so wholesome. It's one of the, strongest mother-daughter relationships in Austen.
There aren't many good parental relationships in Austen,
especially, between the heroines and their mothers, if they have one.
Are there any good ones?
Fanny and her mother.
No,
real bad.
Lady Bertram adores Fanny, but Fanny kind of looks after Lady Bertram.
Yeah, it's not really
Anne and her mother had a good relationship, but her mother's dead. Anne and Lady Russell have a good relationship, but also Lady Russell convinced her to do something not good. Mrs. Dashwood is very like Marianne Dashwood, so, I mean, she loves her daughters.
Mrs. Dashwood is probably, biological mother speaking, is probably the best of the mothers. Eleanor and her don't always have, the most...
Because Eleanor kind of takes on the mothering role.
Exactly. Eleanor is very much of a mother to her 2 younger sisters. Lizzie and Mrs. Bennet are just, so different. And it is literally in the story, if you don't marry Mr. Collins, I'll never speak to you again, which is an awful thing.
And her blatant favoritism of the oldest and youngest. You can also understand Mrs. Bennet's fear and need to get her daughters married.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which Austen makes a joke of, but it isn't a serious thing. Mrs. Morland in Northanger Abbey, you could say she's a good mother, maybe, but she doesn't really realise why her daughter's upset. She's like, I can show you an essay about why you shouldn't get rid of your regular friends, when her daughter's just had this big traumatic thing happen.
I feel like she's often very dismissive of who her daughter is. But either way, I think Mrs. Weston is the loveliest mother of the mothers in Austen. Biological, adoptive, whatever you call it, governess. She's my favourite mother of the lot.
And I think she's obviously set up to be very opposite to Mrs. Churchill.
The antithesis is the wicked stepmother trope. Austen was like, wicked stepmother? Screw that. Here's beautiful, perfect angel, I love you so much, stepmother.
And that is our discussion of Chapter 14 of Emma by Jane Austen. I'm Frances Duncan. This has been Rachel Pilwer.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. We wish you happy reading.
I'm having a great time.
Are you
having a great time?
I'm having a great time.
Okay, good.